If she keeps you around, but never fully chooses you, that confusion can destroy more men than rejection ever will. Because rejection is clear. Rejection gives you pain, but also direction. But being kept around, that creates hope. And hope, when attached to inconsistency, can become one of the most dangerous emotional traps a man falls into, because now you're not dealing with loss, you're dealing with possibility. And possibility can make a man tolerate things he would normally never accept. She texts, just enough. She checks in, just enough. She flirts, just enough. She disappears, then returns right when you start pulling away. She gives attention when she feels distance, but rarely gives certainty. And that pattern? It keeps you emotionally invested, without requiring full commitment from her. This is where most men get trapped, because they think, if she's still here, there must be potential. If she didn't care, why would she keep coming back? If I just stay patient, consistent, understanding, maybe eventually she'll choose me. But here's the painful truth. Attention is not commitment. Access is not loyalty. Chemistry is not decision. And many men waste months, sometimes years, confusing temporary presence with genuine intention. Because being an option can feel dangerously similar to being chosen if your standards are low enough. Let's break this down. When a woman truly values you and genuinely fears losing you, her actions may not be perfect, but her direction becomes clear. Clarity, consistency, investment, not confusion, not convenience, not emotional limbo. If she likes having you, but avoids defining you. If she enjoys your attention, but resists exclusivity. If she leans on you emotionally, but keeps her options open, then you have to ask the question most men avoid. Am I valued, or am I simply available? Because those are not the same thing. This is where it gets worse. Many women won't intentionally say, I want to keep you as backup. Instead, it sounds softer. I'm not ready. I'm confused. I don't want to ruin what we have. You mean so much to me. I just need time. Now let's be clear. Sometimes people genuinely are confused. But sometimes, confusion becomes a shield, a way to delay accountability while still benefiting from your presence. Because as long as you stay emotionally available, without requiring clarity, she gets the benefits of your loyalty, without the responsibility of choosing you. And that dynamic can quietly destroy your self-respect. Because over time, you start performing. You become more patient, more understanding, more helpful, more emotionally available. You think proving your worth will make her choose. But here's what most men miss. When someone already sees your value, but still refuses to choose, more value is rarely the issue. The issue is often this. She enjoys what you provide, more than she fears losing you. Read that again. She enjoys what you provide, more than she fears losing you. That means your presence has become comfortable, not critical. And comfort without consequence rarely creates urgency. This is why some men stay stuck in almost relationships for years. They're giving boyfriend energy, with no girlfriend clarity, providing emotional security without emotional reciprocity, acting loyal without mutual commitment. And every extra month they stay, they unintentionally teach her, I'll accept uncertainty as long as you give me enough hope. That lesson costs men everything, because people often respect the standards you enforce, not the sacrifices you silently make. Now here's where most men fail. They fear walking away, because they think leaving guarantees loss. But staying in emotional limbo often guarantees something worse. Slow erosion. Your confidence drops. Your standards weaken. Your identity shifts from chooser to waiter. And the longer you wait, the more your self-worth becomes tied to her eventual decision. That is dangerous, because now you're no longer evaluating her. You're auditioning. And men who audition for commitment often lose power they never realized they had. Here's the psychology behind it. Scarcity creates value. Certainty without commitment creates complacency. If she believes you will always be there, regardless of how little clarity she offers, there is no pressure to decide. Why would she fully choose what she never risks losing? This doesn't mean playing games. This doesn't mean manipulation. It means standards. It means recognizing that your time, attention, loyalty, and emotional energy are valuable. And valuable things should not be handed out endlessly to someone who keeps treating you like an optional feature instead of a serious choice. Now let's talk about the brutal mistake. Many men think, if I leave, she'll forget me. Maybe, but if the only reason she keeps you is because you never leave, what exactly are you preserving? Because forced proximity is not love. Emotional dependence is not devotion. Being useful is not the same as being chosen. Sometimes walking away does two things. First, it protects your self-respect. Second, it reveals the truth. Because distance exposes intention fast. Someone who truly values you will notice. Someone who is merely benefiting will often replace. And while that may hurt, it also frees you. Because clarity, even painful clarity, is far more powerful than prolonged confusion. This is where strong men separate themselves. Strong men do not beg for certainty. They observe patterns. If words say one thing, but actions say another, they believe actions. If someone says, "I care about you," but repeatedly avoids choosing, they pay attention. Because real interest without action eventually becomes manipulation, whether intentional or not. Now listen carefully. You do not need to punish. You do not need revenge. You do not need emotional speeches. Sometimes the strongest move is quiet recognition. I respect you, but I'm not staying in something undefined that only benefits one side. That energy changes everything, because for the first time, you stop asking, "How do I make her choose me?" and start asking, "Does this situation deserve me?" That shift, that is power. Because the moment a man remembers he is also the chooser, he stops settling for half-hearted connections disguised as potential. Here's another truth most men avoid. Some women keep certain men around, not because they want them, but because they don't want to lose access to them. Access to attention, access to validation, access to emotional support, access to security. And if you confuse being useful with being loved, you can waste years. This is why boundaries matter. Boundaries are not ultimatums. They are self-respect in action. They say, I will not remain emotionally invested where clarity is consistently absent. I will not keep proving myself to someone who already knows what I offer. I will not stay where I am repeatedly almost chosen. Because almost can become addiction. Almost loved. Almost prioritized. Almost committed. But almost rarely builds the life you actually want. And here's where it gets even deeper. Every day you spend chasing someone who won't fully choose you is a day you may be emotionally unavailable for someone who would. That's the hidden cost. Not just wasted time, wasted capacity. Because confusion consumes energy. And men stuck in confusion often show up weaker, even when the right opportunity finally appears. So what's the solution? First, watch actions, not hope. Second, set internal deadlines. Third, stop rewarding inconsistency with unlimited access. Fourth, be willing to lose ambiguity to gain clarity. Fifth, remember your presence is valuable, especially when it is no longer automatic. Because when a man can walk away from unclear situations, he immediately becomes stronger than the version of himself who stayed just because he feared losing potential. And sometimes, losing false potential is exactly how you find real alignment. Final truth. If she keeps you around but won't fully choose you, your greatest risk is not losing her. It's losing yourself while waiting. Waiting for clarity. Waiting for commitment. Waiting for someone else to confirm your worth. Do not build your self-worth around another person's hesitation, because the right connection may challenge you, teach you, even test you, but it will not keep you trapped in endless uncertainty while asking for your loyalty. At some point, a man has to decide, am I here because this is real, or because I'm addicted to what it could be? And that answer can change his entire life. Because the moment you stop accepting partial commitment, you stop living like an option. And men who stop living like options start getting treated like priorities.